The reason Bitcoin is not in the millions is very simple, very incredibly simple. We're going the wrong way. You're continually going the wrong way. If you haven't seen, Trump just announced a CFTC investment advisory committee here. So I want to share this really quick and read a little bit about it, what's going on. We need to tap into this though. We need to double click on it. This is incredibly important. And this is the Bitcoin price is a reflection of the global education of Bitcoin. Chairman Selig's new innovation advisory committee reads like a who's who of the companies the agency is about to oversee. And he's the only commissioner in the building. The people most likely to be regulated by the CFTC's expanding crypto authority are now formally advising the agency on how that regulation should work. You can't make this stuff up. Today, Chairman Michael Selig announced a 35-member Innovation Advisory Committee, and the roster tells you everything you need to know about where American derivatives regulation is headed. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, Uniswap Labs CEO Hayden Adams, and Polymarket CEO Shane Kaplan all have seats at the table. So do the CEOs of Kalshi, Kraken, Gemini, Crypto.com, Solana Labs, Chainlink, Grayscale, and Blockchain.com. This isn't a listening tour, as lobbying never is. It's a policy architecture session, and the architects are the same firms that stand to gain the most from the rules it produces. And this is the fiat system, folks. We are in the fiat system to the max. We are going to grift our way to the bottom until we implode on ourselves. This is the game that is, and this is a game that Bitcoin was set to destroy. This game, but it doesn't mean it's going to go easily. It doesn't mean it's going to go silently into the night. All the distractions happening, going on, the craziness we see everywhere. Here's Brian Armstrong, just a few short years ago, giving a lesson on Bitcoin. Brian Armstrong built Coinbase on the idea that Bitcoin was the future of money. Fast forward to today, and their business model looks very different. Hard not to notice the shift. Simply Bitcoin just put this out earlier this week. And it's incredible when you see what's actually happening. And you see the people that get bored, the people that start grifting, the people that start lying, cheating, and stealing. You know, the Revolutionary War was 26 years long, basically. Really, truly, if you take everything, and then it never really ended. And this is the problem. This is the thing that people have a really big, hard time with. I just reached out to Baron Coleman, who has been meteoric rise to fame here over the last handful of months, investigating the Charlie Kirk murder, assassination. And he's been talking about, he's an attorney, a very smart person, and Candace Owens has obviously been going down this trail of trying to figure out what's going on with Charlie Kirk. And the problem is that we have this world where the people at the top want you to be distracted. They want you in the chaos and the distraction and the noise. There are so many people trying to rip you away from your Bitcoin. It's the only money, a true money, your finite time and energy on Earth and your finite Bitcoin. It's the only two things that are purely finite. And they want to do everything they can to rip you away from that. That is the name of the game. And the powers that be have perfected mass persuasion. Perfected it. Through chaos, through manipulation, through distraction, through fear. That's the devil's playground, is fear. And that is the world that we are living in right now. The Epstein FUD, the quantum FUD, it's always something. For 17 years, there's energy. And then all of a sudden, energy is not a big deal because AI is here and it's centralized, and now they can control us with it. They can kick you out of a job. They can make you dependent. No one's questioning that. It's just like, oh, that's totally fine. I mean, I just saw Dave Ramsey. As you guys know, I try to watch a lot of different things. I was watching Dave Ramsey. I watch Kiyosaki, the Ramseys, all the polar opposites. The people on the left, the people on the right, the Young Turks, the Candace Owens of the world, the Alex Joneses, to the Baron Colemans, to you name it. All these people on different sides of the aisles, the macro professors, Robert Mearsheimer, the Jeffrey Sachs of the world, the David Sachs of the world, people that I don't agree with, the crypto crowd, all these people putting the cart before the horse. It's not that crypto itself is bad, or it's not that any one of these things is bad, or trying to figure out who shot Charlie Kirk. These things in themselves, a lot of them in the vacuum, in the silo, is not bad. And it's a good thing. There's a lot of smart people doing these things. However, this is the sinister part of all of it, is that when you are over the target, that's when you get the most flack. right? If you know anything about war and about flying a plane, the AAA fire or the ground fire or the missiles, the SAMs, the surface to air missiles, they are the heaviest over the target, over the thing that matters the most. If you're the town over, people don't care. Your flak, your bombs, your shrapnel cannot affect the target. If you're most of society is another country over, they might be another continent over. But the sinister part is the person who is very smart and seemingly is asking the right questions, seemingly is going the right way, but they're just next to the target. They're just the town over. They're a couple kilometers away, a couple miles away, right? Those people are the most sinister. And it's not because they're bad people. It's because they're on the right trail. And maybe they get to the target. They're close to the target. Maybe they can hear the flak. They can hear the planes overhead, and they know they're close. But the problem is they're asking the wrong questions. Not who did it or what's happening. It's why is this happening or how is this happening? This mechanism is what fuels all this. And the powers that be love. They love when you're distracted and going down the rabbit hole and chasing squirrels, chasing shiny objects. They love it. They love it. When you spend 6 months, you spend 12 months, and then there's the new FUD, there's the new chaos, the new distraction, and then it sends you down the rabbit hole another 12 months to try to figure out what's going on. And I'm saying all this because directionally we're going the right way as society. This is a very hopeful thing. There's a lot of fear, a lot of FUD going on. I was just in some Bitcoin group chats, and people are all up in arms about we are run by satanic pedophile cults and stuff. Yeah. Hello. This is what's been happening since the start of time. Where have you been? You have God, or you've got Bitcoin. Those are your two options. Hopefully you have both. Hopefully you believe in a higher power, humble ourselves, realize that we're just a speck of dust in this universe, so there's something much bigger than us, number one. Number two, we have an option here on Earth, something we need to be fighting for, to give freedom, liberty to all of humanity. And Bitcoin's the only time we've ever had the chance to do that, to give the Declaration and the Bill of Rights to 8 billion people. That's literally the only time in human history we've ever been able to do that, is right now. That's it. It's the only time we've ever been able to do that, which is right this second. In 17 years. It's the only time. That is the killer app. That's the thing that we are on the precipice of. And people, it's always darkest before the dawn. Or there's this thing called success suicide. When people get successful or they are successful, they tend to get sick a lot of times right before they really hit a lot of success. And it's their body, for whatever reason, shutting down a lot of times. It kind of feels, or maybe you guys have heard of the book by Napoleon, I think it's Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, but he also wrote 3 Feet from Gold. And a lot of people stop right before they get there. They sell their Bitcoin right before it explodes. Their freedom money, going back onto the Titanic. Because again, it's not just about gains, right? People come in for gains, for fiat gains in Bitcoin. But then those who have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, they stay for the signal. They stay for the freedom. They stay for the truth. And people get distracted. Again, I talked about Baron Coleman. He gets distracted, right? He had a small YouTube channel, and now he's hundreds of thousands of subscribers going down the Charlie Kirk rabbit hole. Well, now there's a lot of people that follow him, and he's talking about Bitcoin. And he's saying that, it's made by the government, and it's Epstein coin now. Kind of all like the normal FUD that you see. So I actually reached out to him to try to do a live stream with him, either on his show or our show, or maybe we'll do it offline and have him ask any questions he wants. He wants to do a show, and there's a lot of people that follow him and are listening to everything he says because of this one topic, and now he's going off engaging in this cognitive dissonance and Gell-Mann amnesia. And it's okay. These things happen, right? We need to humble ourselves, raise our humility, and understand that this is a process. The Revolutionary War took 26 years from really start to finish. And again, it never ended. The British came back a few times. If we recall from our history classes, the British came back a few different times. And we had to fight over and over again. And then the central banks came. Those are different fights. Again, the British Crown and many others involved. And then we have 1913, the third central bank. And we've had it the last 100 years. And now, according to Caitlin Long, who I just spoke to recently and did the podcast with, we talked about SOFR and LIBOR, the last vestiges of that system. And again, it looks like, seems like, sounds like, smells like the Trump administration was the last vestige of severing that tie. Now, they didn't begin that, but the last 10, 15 years of cutting off SOFR and LIBOR, that ended. She said the last contract ended in the fall of this year, or this past year. And now, which would make sense, Trump, his team going over there to Davos last month and going over there guns blazing, middle fingers in the air, and going like Team America. And at the end of the day, people can like, love, hate Trump. It doesn't matter. His only job, theoretically, is to protect the United States of America. That's his only job. That's literally the president's job. So whether he's acting as a puppet for another country, which I know half people believe, and then the other people believe he's weaponized by whatever, the financial industrial complex or the military industrial complex, whatever. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. And that's kind of what my point is with all of this. Now, his job seemingly is to shift this world order, the global order, whether he thinks it or not, or whether he's controlled by someone else or some other entity. So that's, again, we get caught up in this nuance of what it is or what it's not. But directionally, we have to be correct. And Bitcoin is the only directional thing, the truth teller, the digital stone that we can know for sure, hey, this is happening. This is what's going to happen. Or this is what has happened. And it doesn't change. You can't come in, as Nick Carter said recently, you can't fire the dev team now and replace them. But perception is reality. So we do have to be careful that the more wealth someone has or the more power someone has, people do look to them and see what they say. So but this goes back to the mindset and the perception of Bitcoin and humans. So we are in this struggle, this information war, and the way you control human beings is to break their will, right? If you're in I'm trying to think of how to say this, but torturing someone or all these different things, right? There's many ways to conduct torture, and one of the big ways is to break their will. You're trying to break their spirit, trying to break people mentally. Humans can take the physical punishment, but the mental game, because the mind can go a long way, right? Your body can be completely broken, but your mind can keep you going. And that's the thing, that's our mind is what's holding us back. That's why Bitcoin's not in the millions. It's our mindset, not believing we're worthy, not understanding what's going on, not understanding we're being manipulated by evil itself, and then also because our education is poor and our education is low, and we're getting there. Society is starting to understand what Bitcoin is slowly over time. But they're going to understand as these exponential things hit and bad things happen, it's going to continue happening. At the end of the day, remember, this is a debt ceiling. This is since 1970 here in America. This is the price of Bitcoin. This is what's happening. Remember, if we have a Parker Lewis episode coming out in a couple days here on Sunday. It's an incredible episode, and he talks about, he's probably one of the most brilliant speakers in the subject, in my opinion. If you guys haven't watched his Asymmetry of Bitcoin that he did a few months ago on the Unchained channel, go watch that. We talk a bit about that on the podcast. It's an awesome pod, and I can't wait for the feedback from you guys. We talk about if Bitcoin can do its promise, which is enforce its credibility, secure its decentralization, and enforce the credible supply of 21 million Bitcoin, it's doing its job. There's nothing that can penetrate that, and that's what humans have never seen before, and that's where we're headed, to a world where Bitcoin will account for all of us. People get caught up in the games of, well, money's one half of every trade, or it's going to account for all the bonds, it's going to account for all these things. As he says, as Parker says, you can't afford not to have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a luxury. It's a necessity, especially with AI, what's coming on. If we go, we're going in this deflationary world where they're going to have to print like mad. I mean, this is bad here now as it is, but they're going to print like mad to come up. And the viral video from Schumer, what's the kid's name? I'm trying to think here. Right here. Matt Schumer, his viral essay, wasn't meant to scare people about the effects of AI and what's happening. How do we think this is going to work? Just government UBI, more fiat currencies? They're going to have to print so much currency. And where's it going to go? The hardest asset known to man, the hardest protocol, I should say, the hardest money, the hardest protocol known to man. That's where it's going to go. But again, if knowledge was spread across humanity evenly, Bitcoin would be in the millions, obviously. It would be consuming the entire 900 trillion plus in assets, and it would do the accounting. It is the unit of account. It is already. But a lot of people just don't know that yet. That's the difference. And this time between Bitcoin's start and then that accounting overall takes time. But if Bitcoin can continue to enforce that supply and do what it's promised to do over and over, tick tock, next block, every 10 minutes, that part is an inevitability. If it can do that, that part's inevitable. But it's not inevitable if we aren't doing our job and continually talking about it, continually being an example, having the right mindset, not being fearful, being hopeful instead, and actually embracing the chaos, embracing what's happening. There's Bill and Keone's, which we'll talk about in a second if you have not. But Bitcoin is sitting at $68,000 right now. You get 1,500 sats per dollar. 1,500 sats. So what? When Bitcoin's at 600,000, you'll be able to get 140 sats. The people that purchase Bitcoin now and secure freedom and cold storage it, put it, self-custody, hardware wallets, are going to be the people that reinvest in the future. The people that bought Bitcoin the first 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of them are gone. Maybe they passed away. Maybe their sats are lost. They're locked up somewhere. They've sold off, etc. Right? But this next 10 years, this cohort, people who bought from 2017 to 2027, are going to change humanity going forward. Because not only that, we have the demographic shift of the older generation starting to go away, starting to leave the halls of power, their wealth starting to trickle down to the younger generations. Do we think the younger generations are going to all of a sudden start buying gold and silver? Not only does it not work as a global ledger, because it's not, they're physical tokens. There are two types of money, right? Physical tokens and ledgers. So we have a world where the younger generation only knows the digital world. We have AI coming on top of that, the demographic shift, and physical tokens, which we have seen for 5,000 years, don't work as a global monetary system because it always gets centralized. It has to, because it's physical. It has to get centralized. And then there has to be a credit layer and a fiat layer on top of that, and centralization, and then claim checks issued on top of that. So we have this world where it's very easy to see if you zoom out and see what's going on. And the people that can't see it generally are two types of people. They're either people that don't have assets and they're just not paying attention and they're just completely unplugged, or they're people that have too high of an IQ. Let's just call it what it is. They're very smart. They're too smart. They can't see the forest from the trees. And that's why we joke about being an 80 IQ pleb. But being an 80 IQ pleb, whether it's 100 or 120 IQ or whatever, 70 IQ, or that's the point. You are able to see, you're able to zoom out and see the forest from the trees. You see the streets. You actually know what's happening, and you're not getting in your own head. Occam's razor. The simplest answer is almost always the right answer. But humanity has not caught up to that yet. The people in the West have not caught up. Your bank account generally works, unless you're in the Canadian trucker convoy, the Dutch farmer, things like that. But those events are far and few between. Fortunately, we live in a world that's, although fallen, and many bad things are happening, as we have seen, with the Epstein files coming out, all these different things. The system generally works for the most part. And the inflation is just enough where they can steal it from you over time and siphon you of all your wealth and time and energy, but it happens slowly enough where you don't realize you're the frog in the boiling pot. But at some point, the frog does realize. A lot of frogs do jump out. We are entering that time period. But what's different, again, about Bitcoin is it has the credibly enforced supply that you can't just, as Nick Carter said, you can't come in and fire the dev team. Now, you can persuade people. You can donate to them and say, hey, we're going to fund you by doing this, that, the other thing. But this is the thing. Bitcoin will always exist. Bitcoin's going to be here. It might be a small remnant of society. And you might have a lot of influential people come in, the BlackRocks of the world, or big people. You could have big people come in and influence presidents. But look, Trump came in to Bitcoin and said, hey, I love Bitcoin. Didn't really change anything, did it? So if BlackRock comes in, is anyone going to care? Well, they already are in. So are they going to try to remove the dev team? Can you imagine the Bitcoiners, the true Bitcoiners, the people that are all of us here watching? We're on X, we're on Nostr, we're on these different things. We go to conferences, right? Where everyone's plugged in. Can you imagine if that happens? What will happen? Soft forks, hard forks. I mean, again, you name it. Bitcoiners will do what they need to do to route around the chaos. Now, you could be set back a little while. You could be set back a year or 10 years or a couple decades. You could potentially, if there's enough power on one side of the boat and they try to go off their own direction and Bitcoiners have to go another way and route another way. Again, this is why the Citadel talk comes in. This is where these things happen, where we have ways to route around it. We have ways to route around it. And this is, again, right here, like we just talked about earlier, this is what we're trying to get away from. The wrong direction. Ripple CEO Brad Garlickhouse. Like, what are we doing? Or Garlickhouse, Garlinghouse, whatever his name is. Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, Brian Armstrong. We just showed Brian Armstrong understood what Bitcoin was, but he lost the plot because he got greedy. Ripple, same thing, in bed with the World Economic Forum. The people, if you go watch people with the XRP world, it's, hey, we're going to, and this is really the difference. This is people that maybe they are a bit pragmatic in the sense of, well, we're going to be in the banking system and we're going to be the payment software that's, whatever. That is true if you're making backroom deals, if you live in this fiat world and you think that fiat world is going to exist forever. I, however, do not. I don't think that. These guys, Brian Armstrong, CEO Brad Garlinghouse, Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, all these guys all cannot credibly enforce their validators, their tokens, their chains, all of it. That's the difference. They are all corrupted and corruptible. Solana, Chainlink, these are corruptible protocols. This is not how Bitcoin works. Bitcoin is completely opposite of that. No one controls it. It's decentralized. You have the nodes, the miners, the holders of Bitcoin, all incentivized to work together to secure the system and decentralize the system. We just did the mining. Mining just took a dip because working just like it should. It comes down. We have a big snowstorm, things going on here in America, and then the hash power comes right back. I think it went down to 800 some exahash, and now it's right back into the 900s. And here we are. Bitcoin works because it's designed to be simple. It's designed to be a pragmatic, simple solution. Very few moving parts. It's not designed to do all 8 billion people's transactions on the main layer. That's all this FUD, all these different things you hear about. The FUD that's going on again right now about the Bcashers, and you have all these random political people coming up out of the woodwork out of nowhere. I mean, these tired, old arguments, but it gets people, right? Because there's always new people coming to Bitcoin, and then they don't understand what's going on, and you learn, you FAFO, you F around, and then you find out. Bitcoin doesn't scale. The internet didn't scale. These things don't scale with one piece of technology trying to do everything at once. They scale in layers. You cannot do everything on the first layer because then you have to sacrifice decentralization or security. So every other altcoin, all these other chains, they either have validators or proof of stake. So it's pay to play in essence. It's just fiat, just like the existing system, just like we have here and what was happening. It's the same thing. So you have the guys that benefit from this system, and they're going to go write the laws for this new world. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time, guys. People need to touch the stove. People need to touch the stove. We need max pain. We're going to have more pain. Been saying this for 20 years. It would have been nice if I could have been doing live streams for 20 years because we are going to have pain. We're going to have more pain. Those who hold the Bitcoin in self-custody, though, are going to have less pain. You will have the options to go do other things. But it won't come without a fight, though. Bitcoiners, I do believe, are going to be in the fight, literally and figuratively. This is not. I was again talking to some people recently, and they are, oh, Bitcoin doesn't matter. Nothing matters until we remove the satanic people running the world. Yes, but how are you going to do that? Unless you're going to pick up your musket and go do battle, then what are we doing here at the end of the day? Bitcoin is the way to defund the chaos, is to draw a line in the sand and cut off the funding, to take ownership of your time and energy and not have it unlawfully stolen from you without anyone asking you day in and day out. You are on the hamster wheel every single day, and you are taxed through inflation with no one asking you. So you are kept on the hamster wheel trying to outrun your expenses, produce more for society. So you can outrun your ever-increasing expenses, and your living standards keep going down and down and down. That's why the average person has no idea what's happening. They don't know what's going on. They're very susceptible because they're emotional. You're very susceptible to, oh, it's the ICE agents. Oh, it's the nurse over here. Oh, it's my next door neighbor. Oh, it's this person. It's that person. It's red versus blue. Anything to get you fighting. Oh, it's the Tea Party. Oh, it's Occupy Wall Street. There are 99.9% of us. We are all on the same team. That's what we have to start getting back to and start understanding. But at the end of the day, Bitcoiners have to start understanding what they hold and not be shaken out. Because the only job of all these fiat maxis, Chainlink guys, Gemini guys, Kraken guys, Grayscale, whatever, blockchain.com, Ripple guy, Coinbase guy, their job is to take your Bitcoin. They understand how important Bitcoin is. But do you understand how important Bitcoin is? They understand it. They're over here writing the laws for themselves so they can make more fiat, scam more people, and then take your Bitcoin. They either take it to take your fiat and scam you out of fiat, and then they go buy Bitcoin with it, or they just straight up steal your Bitcoin and scam you out of your Bitcoin. It's your choice. It's your choice how you get scammed. Do not take on a bunch of leverage. Do not do a bunch of stuff so you get you get liquidated. And we just saw it. We just saw it happen in the last month or so. We just saw people getting liquidated. It's pristine collateral for the people you're lending against. Doesn't mean you can never do it. You just have to be extremely careful. You have to understand what you're getting into. I'm not going to sit here and say you should or should not do one thing or the other. We're adults. Do what you need to do, but understand the level of game we're playing. This is Satan's world we're operating in. That's the world here. So people don't have the ethics, they don't have the morals, they don't have the values that you have. For a long time, I thought everyone grew up that way. Well, when I was a teenager, I figured out that was not the case. Even though my parents said, oh, life's not fair, Brandon. Hey, life's not like this everywhere. Hey, it's a lot different all over the place. You don't understand until you experience it, until you're ripped off, until you have bad business partners, until you have, ridiculous things happen to you in life. And then you get it. Then you understand. Then you really start to understand your readings and what you're reading in life and in the Bible, all these things. Like, the poor will always be among you. The poor in spirit, the poor in truth, the poor in loyalty, the poor in integrity, the poor in money, the poor in wealth, health, everything. The poor in happiness. The poor will always be among you. And that's, again, what we lose sight of. On a day in and day out basis, we lose sight of these things. So, Trump going the wrong way in these issues. Stop putting the cart before the horse. This is all nonsense. The crazy part is, if you make Bitcoin legal tender, or if everyone started using Bitcoin, we got rid of all these things, then nature would start healing. It's like going to the top of the river, like we said many times. There's an oil spill going on. Fiat is an oil spill. You can't have good fruit from a bad tree. You can't have good fish, clean water, when you've got an oil spill at the top of the hill. That's fiat, tainting everything downstream. So we're all 10 miles downstream with pool skimmers trying to clean out the river. How is that going to happen? How are you going to clean the whole river? That's like going and trying to take out every single person that's running every organization around the world right now. Like, a lot of people, and again, we're in a time where people have a lot of things confirmed that they knew in their head, and they can't believe that it's actually real. All these files coming out, and they can't believe that it actually was real. Like, you hope, a little bit in you, like, you hope it was wrong. You hope that was just kind of like a lie. And then you realize, no. This is a world that really is infested with only a number of people that are really doing evil things. We're all made good, but we're all cracked. So we are susceptible to these things. But clean the money up, fix the oil spill at the top of the river, and then all these things downriver, we don't have to sit here with a pool skimmer and trying to clean the river. These things just start naturally healing themselves. Evil starts to subside. It starts to not go, the size of government starts to naturally, because more people are independent, they have independent wealth, they don't need government, they're not clamoring to government. They don't need government. So government starts to become smaller. Then because government's smaller, people aren't then the people that are attracted to evil and attracted to controlling people, which is the number one thing, not money. The number one thing that evil wants is to control human beings in every way, shape, or form. So then governments are smaller. What better way, a nation state, to control large groups of people, large swaths of people? So now, because governments are naturally coming down in size, people that want to control others aren't then incentivized, or they aren't as incentivized, I guess. Maybe that's the best word. They aren't as incentivized to go to government and try to rule over other people. And you have more abundance, you have more wealth, your living standard goes up. It's a very simple time, a very simple process. But do we want it? Do we want it? And I guess that's a question we all have to ask ourselves. I believe in humanity. I believe, I'm in Bitcoin because I believe humanity will eventually choose correctly. Maybe it might take a long time. Who knows? You're going to have to have a lot of max pain going for it. But I do believe eventually, enough of us sitting here talking about it, educating, yelling from the rooftops, we will eventually have enough people, as Parker Lewis says, Brian Mateo from Club Orange say, once inflation gets to, we showed the debt chart, right? Once inflation gets to a point where it's single digit inflation increases each month for the average person, $7 for a steak this month, $7.50 next month, $8 the next month, that's when people really start waking up. Or as Parker said, 1 in 20 people. When 1 in 20 people start noticing and start understanding Bitcoin, that's when the iceberg flips. That's the gradually then suddenly. We're a long way from that. We're a long way away from that. Clean Machine, what's good? Good to see you from sunny Alberta. Yes, definitely got to have Bitcoin in self-custody. Hopefully you guys break away. So, again, this is all distraction. All a distraction. The CFTC stuff going the wrong direction. Completely going the wrong way. It's just the good old boys club doing good old boys things, paying themselves off, taking donations, taking money from whoever's going to give them money, and then paying them off. It's all distraction. The signal, remember, there's not much signal in the world. There's very low signal generally. There's a lot of noise. I think Parker talked about this as well. I'm excited for you guys to see this episode and on Sunday. There's a lot of noise in the world, a lot of distraction, a lot of chaos, a lot of manipulation. Again, evil wants that. If we don't understand we're living in an evil world, none of this matters. None of this makes sense. The earth is the devil's playground. You can thank Adam and Eve for that. So we have to understand the game we're playing, the game board we're on. Otherwise, none of this makes sense. So that's why people continually do ridiculous things in order to try to get ahead. All this stuff is nonsense. Like I said, at the end of the day, if you're putting the cart before the horse, that's where I was going with all this a little bit ago. The Kelshi, the poly market, all this garbage doesn't exist. The OnlyFans, the women, I have a bunch of videos of women crying, saying, I just want to be at home. I don't know. I've been working in corporate America. I'm 40. I've been doing this for 20 years. Right. Because women were built to take care of, nurture children and nurture a family. You've been scammed. Going to college, getting in debt. Oh, women, we got to work. We got to go to college. Well, cool. Good luck. If that was true, then we wouldn't have women crying all over TikTok. But that's what fiat does. Fiat puts you on the hamster wheel. Fiat does all this. Again, like so much in society, it's not that you can't do this. It's not that women can't be in the workforce. They're not designed to be in the workforce. They're just better at being with children and raising a family. Men are not. Men are built to go to war, go to work, be in the fields, go get their ass kicked. Come back with their shield or on it, right? That's what men are designed to do. And women are designed to do something else. The fact that we still have to re-adjudicate how life is designed, think of the lost man hours of deciding how many genders there were. And we could have been healing things, inventing things, doing other things with society. But no, we're over here re-adjudicating the most basic of basic things. That is fiat. That's what fiat does to you. It melts your mind. So you don't know what's happening. And now, it's not that you can't have women in the workforce. Of course you can. It's just not the best version of, it's not the best way to go about society. It's not the easiest. You can do all kinds of things that you can do all kinds of things that aren't the optimal way. You can get away with things for a long time. Depending on what they are, you can get away with them for a long time. Like we've made this example before. Oh, Brandon, hey, you know what? You said this cheeseburger, this double bacon cheeseburger with, a pound of mayonnaise on it. You said it was going to give me a heart attack. I ate one and it didn't hurt me. Like, you're a moron. It's like, okay, like, sure. But keep doing that over time. Keep doing that forever. And you'll see how that turns out, right? Like but society doesn't think at a first principles level because we have too many high IQ, textbook, I'm great in school, government run compulsory schools that can't think, can't see the forest from the trees, can't use common sense. Or we have people with their will broken and they're on too many drugs, literal and figurative drugs. Their will's been broken. They're sedated in some type of way and distracted from what's really going on. So we have these two massive segments of society, and there's a bunch of people in the middle, like kind of looking around that can see what's going on, and they're just wondering, like, hey, why are you two groups of people? Like, why are we so blind to all this? But that's where we're at. So then we have, again, committees like this. We have these moronic committees that put, again, there's an oil spill at the top of the river. The fiat currency is robbing and stealing from everybody. That's why these things exist. That's why Robinhood exists. That's why Polymarket exists. That's why Kelshi exists. We're going to sports bet and gamble on ridiculous things because we don't know how to make any money. We don't know how to actually provide value for society. Solana, Chainlink, all these things wouldn't be around. They would not be around if you actually had good money where people could just save in their money. But people are putting band-aids and bullet holes. All these big core issue problems, we just keep slapping these interim solutions on top of these core issues and these huge problems that we have. So all these things, government will start to decline. Bad corporations will start to go away in an honest society, in an honest money. You can't have an honest society without honest money. Again, these things work in conjunction with each other. But we're going to learn these lessons. Whether people like it or not, doesn't matter. Does not matter. It doesn't, again, Ayn Rand, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And it's tough. It's tough for the early adopters. Steve, it's good to see you, man. Really good to see you. And you just started Bitcoin. I'm in it for the long haul. You get it. I mean, you get it. Don't be shaken out. Most people that have bought in since 2022, they've not experienced the gut punch, the market going down 30% or 50% or 75%. You own something that cannot be taken from you. That is priceless. It doesn't matter if it's $1 or if it's $10 million. You cannot be censored. You cannot be stopped. It's permissionless. No one can say, oh, no, we're shutting that down. You can't do it. If you have a connection to a ham radio or the internet or a mobile app or whatever it is, you can connect to the Bitcoin network, to a satellite, whatever it is. Does not matter. There's not one node. There's not some Chase Bank, Jamie Dimon's, here telling you, oh, you can't get an account. Oh, you can't. Hey, you're homeless. Sorry, you can't get an account. Nope. That doesn't exist in Bitcoin. All these others, it does. You have no idea if they'll exist. All these other things, you have no idea if Crypto.com will be here tomorrow. If you keep your Bitcoin on exchanges, Solana, Chainlink, Polymarket, Ripple, these are all controlled by corporations, by a group of people, just like the FOMC. 12 guys sitting around the Fed, big mahogany table, the Fed heads, sitting around 12 guys deciding what your fate will be, deciding what interest rates will be. It's clown world, absolute clown world. And people say, oh, it doesn't matter. No one is ever going to pick a decentralized money that no one controls by some random guy. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what the country thinks. Doesn't matter. Humans will continue finding Bitcoin. They will search for truth. They will wonder, why am I being suppressed? Why am I being inflated away? Why am I being censored? Why? And they will find answers. Just because it doesn't happen 10 million people a day like we all want it to happen doesn't mean it's not happening. Steve's a great example of this. I just started Bitcoin, but I'm in it for the long haul. Boom. There you go. Great example. It's happening. It just happens 1% at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time. And eventually, like Parker Lewis said, gradually and suddenly the iceberg flips. It gets top heavy, and loss of currency, loss of confidence in the current government currency, which have all gone to zero in all of human history, goes away. We call that hyperinflation. And then boom, Bitcoin. People find it one day at a time. That's it. That is it. So this will continue happening over time. People will search for the answer. They will find the answer. And Bitcoin will be forced upon society. It's not a fun answer, but Max Payne will do that to you. We'll find the answer when we need it. Steve said, I'm buying it all at the high, but I'm not going to let the volatility shake me out. Exactly. I love it. I absolutely love it. Kudos to you. Kudos to you, Steve. That's amazing. And you should not. You shouldn't. You absolutely should not, because you hold something that no one can take from you. Run a node, get it in self-custody, get a cold storage wallet, get a fountain passport, get a cold card, get a privacy-based, foundation wallets are made in America. They're open source, cold card. I don't know where cold cards are made, I forget. And they are open source. I believe, I'm trying to think what else is too. You guys can throw in what other ones are open source, but they're open source. People can't control them. People can't control you. You cannot say that about anything else. I was in real estate. I was in gold and silver. I was in real estate 17 years ago. I did it for 10 years. Started in gold and silver. I got into real estate, buying rental properties, doing the apartments, helping people do, all this stuff. You don't own it. Dave Ramsey's over here telling you to pay off your house. I get the peace part of it, right? You have no debt. I get it. We don't live in that system, though. In a system based around equity and capital. It's based on debt. And you cannot, once you pay off your house, you still don't own it. He acts like, oh, you own it all of a sudden, like it can't be taken from you. Newsflash, the government is who you're renting from. If you don't pay your property taxes, they come in to get you. So we have a lot of things to root through in society here. We have a lot of auditing to do. Starts with Epstein's files. Start auditing what's happening. People are going to see. Bitcoiners understand this process best. Don't trust, verify. People are going to start learning the auditing process, whether it's voter ID, whether it's the money, the Epstein files, all these different things. People are going to start learning that you can't just run like it's a video game, like it's a simulation somewhere. This is real life. It's your only shot at it. Have something that you cannot. It's true. Bitcoin is the true FU money. Bitcoin is the only FU money that exists. No one can take it from you. No one can do anything. That is priceless. I'll be buying it $1 and I'll be buying it $10 million. It is priceless. And then eventually it flips. It is the unit of account. It is everything in the world can be divided by 21 million or 2.1 quadrillion sats. Everything will be done not because some country did this or that, or because some influencer said something. It's because the people will demand it. You don't change Bitcoin. As Max Kaiser said a long time ago, you don't change Bitcoin. Bitcoin changes you. You will have to conform to it because it is unceasing and it is unchanging. All this other stuff is nonsense and just a distraction. And remember, the people at the top are very good at distraction. All these people here, very good at making things volatile and very good at shaking you out of your Bitcoin. To Steve's point here, do not be shaken out of the hardest money humans have ever discovered. Humans had beads and seashells and all these things, right? There's physical tokens and there's ledgers. You can't have a global society with physical tokens. You can't have it with beads, with grains of sand, with shells, with gold and silver coins. You cannot have large economies built with physical items. It's good for me and you if we are doing something together because we know who has what. Possession's 9/10 of the law. Bitcoin is a decentralized ledger that no one can F with around the world. So now we have triple entry accounting. We have a way to now see who has what, who owns what, the UTXOs, the unspent transactions. We have a way to see that all around the world. And it's decentralized. It's whack-a-mole. Remember these core tenets of Bitcoin and the stark contrast of verifying. It's an auditing machine every 10 minutes. That cannot be messed with. This cannot be, we cannot understate this enough or overstate it enough. It's so incredibly important. It's the only way forward. You know, it's so frustrating once you see it because it's so obvious, and when you don't see it, it seems like the people are crazy, and it seems like a cult because it's a culture. There's a culture in Bitcoin. There's an ethos. Everything is a culture or cult. So again, don't let these things, this FUD, distract you from what you own. You know, touch some grass, eat right, stay healthy, work out, work on the mindset, understand what you own. The price of Bitcoin is the greatest marketing arm of Bitcoin, but at the same time, you know, you wish in a way there wasn't a price of it. You wish people could just come in because of education, but that's not the case. As in common sense, which we've read here before, but it's worth noting again and again and again. And I'm reading this actually from Parker's book, Gradually and Suddenly, chapter 15. Perhaps the sentiments contained is the beginning of common sense. Thomas Paine, the book to explain to the American people why we need to go to war. Why do we need to separate church and state? Why do we need to go to war with the king in Britain? Perhaps the sentiments contained in the following pages are not yet sufficiently fashionable to procure them general favor. A long habit of not thinking a thing wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right. Oh, what does that sound like? It sounds like fiat currencies. It sounds like the governments. All the people alive, we've all been born into this fake government currency. We've been born into this government, so we don't question it. You notice that the questions that people ask about Bitcoin, they don't even think about or flinch to even ask about fiat currencies, about what they're using now. They don't even think about it. They don't think. And then you get people all in here, all these people, the reason that these things are so successful generally is because they have huge marketing departments. These guys a lot of them have been around for 10, 12, 13 years, scamming with their coins, and they have a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of fiat now. They're able to use that and turn around and market, or they're able to give donations to President Trump. And then guess who is lobbying and writing the rules for themselves? This is how it works. This is the fiat system. This is how it works. Okay, so gives it a superficial appearance of being right and raises at first a formidable outcry in defense of custom. Oh, of course, this is the way we've been doing it, guys. This is just how it works. This is how it happens. So, what do you mean? Oh, this new thing. Whoa, Bitcoin. You can't control it. Is Bitcoin doesn't have a marketing department. We are the marketing department. We are incentivized by freedom. We are incentivized by no one being able to F with us, no one being able to take anything away from us, take our time and energy and inflate it away or steal it from us or censor it from us. That is priceless. That's what I'm incentivized by. That's what you are incentivized by. That's what we are here for. We're not doing it because we're getting paid by Brad Garlic breath. We're not paid by the Ripple marketing department. We're not paid by Kelshi Labs or Crypto.com. Though you do have to be careful because there are people out there that are. Because you should see the scam bot comments on Twitter and in DMs and stuff like that. So you do have to be very careful who you're paying attention to. How are they speaking? Do they come from first principles? Are they speaking about first principles? That's a whole nother story for a different day. We will talk about that soon. But the tumult soon subsides. Time, the last sentence here, time makes more converts than reason. So we can sit here all day. We can wax poetic about education and first principles and all this, but time does the heavy lifting. So we can keep going the wrong way. We can keep doing all this dumb stuff here, but time and pain and education mixed together make more converts than reason. So us trying to sit here and talk about 21 million and it's so amazing and decentralized nodes all across the earth and it's on satellites and mesh radio and mesh networks and all this stuff, ham radio. It really doesn't matter. We'll get some people here and there. That's how a lot of us got here. Maybe the price went up, so it intrigued us. Maybe we're intrigued about something cryptographically. And then you see the freedom. You see what it does to society. You see how it changes you. You see how it changes people around you. You see how it changes people when you go to conferences, when you go to meetups. People getting healthy again, talking about keeping their body healthy, government out of their lives, maximizing their freedom, etc., etc. That's the difference. That's what Bitcoin promises. If you stay tuned in, if you stay locked in. Love that. Ooh, I love that you grab the local bottom there. I think it might have hit 65 or something like that, but you grab like the local bottom almost. Love that. Good for you. Good for you, cleaning machine. Steve said I'm in self-custody, but I buy from River and just transfer it to my cold card. Bingo. You're on the way. You're on the path to freedom. Well, you're already there. It's absolutely amazing. Love that. Bitcoin's worth millions per coin. Just wait for it. It's literally priceless. And this is why, again, the sayings are true. The analogies are great. But you have to, the memes and everything, they cut both ways, right? They're great for people getting in and just learning about Bitcoin. But it's also, you have to be careful because once you're in, you do have to be careful to a degree. So they cut both ways. However, Bitcoin is priceless. And there is no top to Bitcoin because the bottom for fiat is zero. It's already lost, as we were seeing here before, Bitcoin's already lost 99% of its, the dollar's lost 99% of its purchasing power since 1913, right? Since the Federal Reserve. So it'll lose another 99%, and then another 99%, and then another 99%. And these things will happen because we're getting to the hockey stick curve. These things will happen faster and faster. It's not going to take another 110 years, 100 years to do that. I can guarantee you that. It might take 1/10 that time. It might take another 10 or 20 years to lose another 99% of its purchasing power. And then it'll happen another year, and then it's going to be gone. Then it'll be done. It'll be game over. So there is all fiat currencies in human history have gone to zero. All of them. All the corporations have gone to zero. Everything. So ask yourself that. Do we really think Ripple's going to be here 1,000 years from now? Do we think? But Bitcoin has the ability, because it's a protocol. It has the ability to be here 1,000 years from now. What else can we say? Will your house be here 1,000 years from now? Can you move your house to another country if you need to? These are the questions that people just, again, they don't ask because they're not forward thinking. They're stuck on the hamster wheel. They're stuck on the fiat hamster wheel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. It doesn't matter where you buy it from, as long as you get it and then take it off the exchange. That's what blew up FTX, right? So I don't know if you're around, Steve, and again, anyone who doesn't know, FTX, this is why the Caitlin Long and Samson Mao, we were just talking about paper Bitcoin. And like if you talk to Checkmate, he'll be like, no, there's no on-chain, he's the on-chain guy, right? So he sees what's on-chain, what's going on. He's like, no, there's no funny games going on. I love them, but you then talk to Samson and Caitlin, they're like, oh yeah, there's definitely funny games going on. This is what FTX was doing. They were putting a bunch of fake digits on your app. When you're on an exchange, you just have your app, right? You go on to Robinhood, you go on to Coinbase, and it says, oh, I've got X amount of Bitcoin in there. Well, do you? How do you know? You don't have the keys for it. You don't have the keys for that Bitcoin. Coinbase has the keys, or whoever, Robinhood, River, Swan, doesn't matter who it is, right? Strike, Fold, they have the keys. You don't have the key. You need to extract that. You need to take that off the exchange and send that to your cold storage wallet where you own the key. You have the private key. That is the difference. So it doesn't matter where you buy as long as you can extract it and put it in your cold storage wallet. That's all that matters. The world will come around to it. People want all the sexiness. They want all this. It doesn't matter. Does not matter. Know what you own. Know what you believe and believe what you know. It does not matter. Take it off. So what was happening with FTX is they took people's fiat, told them in their app, on the app, the FTX app, oh yeah, you've got Bitcoin. Well, it turns out almost no one had Bitcoin. They weren't actually going into the market and buying the Bitcoin. They were taking that cash and doing whatever with it. They were sending it to the Democrat Party, sending some to the Republican Party. They were doing whatever. So they were taking that cash. People in their app thought they had Bitcoin and they didn't. And that's where a bank run happens. The same thing with the fractional reserve system in banks. They get your $100, they lend out 90 of it, and they have all this extra debt in the system that isn't backed by actual money. It wasn't actually backed by gold and silver or whatever it is. Have gold and silver, you come to bring it to the bank, they give you a claim check and say, hey, but then they issue more claim checks than there really are, or they issue more fake digits saying you have Bitcoin in there when they really don't. So they didn't actually go to the market and buy it, meaning they didn't actually bid up the price. So Bitcoin price probably should have been much higher 4 years ago. But there wasn't, because there were a lot of people that weren't actually getting Bitcoin. There was fake Bitcoin in the system, paper Bitcoin, that wasn't actually there. And so this will continue happening. It's happening now. It'll happen going forward in the future, but people will continue blowing themselves up. Funny games will happen. People blow themselves up. Another FTX, again, Caitlin Long said this too. You'll have big players eventually, they will get snuffed out. The water will go out. You see who gets swimming naked. Nations will be gone. There'll be huge, whether it's banking, whatever. People will play funny games. They will get taken out. Society will then adjust. They will see what's happening and say, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. That's how you see you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. This is how it happens. I fought with George Gammon for a number of years, years ago, I should say, about this very thing. So George is saying, oh, this is going to be a world where we have to educate people. We got to educate people. How do you educate people if there's an endless funding mechanism called inflation? How do you out-propagandize the state? Unless you rip the money away, separate money and state, rip the money printer away, currency printer away from the government, how in the world do you expect to outcompete the state on education? So you know that there's going to be max pain. There's going to be max printing. Bitcoin will continue going up because it's finite compared to infinite currency. The currency will continue trending to zero. The opposite of that is infinity. That's why Bitcoin has no top, because fiat currency's bottom is zero. And you need to out-propagandize the state by ripping the money source, the power source from them, separating money and state. Otherwise, you have kids in government-run schools, 8 hours a day for 12 years. Then you've got endless media, Hollywood. You have all this clown world going around you, indoctrinating people, thinking they don't have their own agency, stealing their time and energy away from them. So they're dependent on the government. That is being ripped away by Bitcoin. Ever so surely, day by day. Educating like this. Steve is a great point, or a great example of this. This happens every single day. Every single one of us came in this way, coming looking for an answer, looking for gains, looking for whatever it was, and then you see the signal. That's why we're here. If you're here watching this, the 18 people that are on right now watching this live, you understand. You wouldn't be here listening to me if you didn't truly understand this. You really didn't understand what I'm saying. If it wasn't making sense to you, if you were like, this guy's not operating from first principles, he's not speaking the truth, or at least as much of the truth as I know it to be, at least here at 38 years of life, everything I've studied for decades, the books, the videos, everything for 20, 25 years. You wouldn't be here. You'd be like, this guy's full of it. He's a fiat guy, whatever. Like, you wouldn't understand it. But look how many people are here. They're here. There's hundreds of people that watch these, thousands of people that watch the videos. Blessed to have the audience, but it will be bigger someday. There will be more of us. Bitcoin price goes up, people get wealthier, and this is what I was saying earlier. I wanted to say this earlier too. This next 10 years that we're in, people that bought from 2017 to 2027 will be so wealthy in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 12 years, as this demographic shift is coming, and the AI, everything that's happening, the wealth transfer down to the younger generations, which are going to be Bitcoin, AI is going to use Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to have so many people who, you know what, maybe they're people that don't have mega yacht, 200-foot mega yachts, 300-foot super yachts, but they're people that are wealthy, the Bitcoiners that bought in that time period, and they have to reinvest in Bitcoin because we're incentivized to. We are incentivized to grow it. And it's probably the early adopter or the early inventors are the people that are the inventors. They're the cryptographers, the inventors, but that early minority, this next 10-year subset, really are more the visionary, the entrepreneurs, the corporations, a lot of people that are coming into it, and they have to reinvest back in the system. One, to keep their system going, because you're incentivized to. That's one of the beauties of Bitcoin. You're incentivized to uphold the integrity of the system, the game theory playing out, but also because there's going to be a lot of wealth, yes, but at the same time, you're going to want to uphold the system. You're going to say, you know what, hey, how can we provide more for society? The group of people that have come in this 10 years are very visionary based. INTJs, they're all, they're people that already have the inclination of entrepreneurial tendencies, or they are entrepreneurs themselves, and they're going to want to build back on that system. They're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm spending down my Bitcoin. Maybe I want to go make more Bitcoin, right? There may be a few people that may retire and kick their feet up, but again, as Bitcoin goes on, you don't get more Bitcoin unless you earn it or you mine it. It's the only way. You can't print it. You can't be friends with Warren Buffett or the money printer or the Fed or the government and they print more Bitcoin for you. You have to play the game. You have to be on the game board providing value for society. That's the difference. So humans will be incentivized to continually provide service or goods and services for people and actually provide more value than they consume. And this cycle will continue. And this cohort of people over the next 10, 15 years, as the wealth increases, will start creating businesses, goods and services for the rest of society at an unprecedented rate, like anything we've ever seen. Right now, I think there should be anywhere from 10 to 100 times the amount of businesses and goods and services started up in the Bitcoin circular economy. And we're just not there yet because of numerous reasons. But I think this next cohort, with this 10 years from people who started buying, like I said, from 2016 or 17 up until now or the next year or two, that 10-year cohort will become so radically wealthy in the coming decade or two that they will turn around and start buying lots of businesses. They will start making businesses. They will start doing things, and Bitcoiners will really start to take over. And then it goes right in along with this debt curve right here, right? We see that the debt curve, that it continues to explode. And like I said, the AI, the wealth transfer, the demographic shift, all these things are coming together over this next decade or so. And it's going to be massive, massive, massive change. Like we sit here today and it's hard to see on a day in and day out basis. But when we look back 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 17 years from now, another 17 years from now, we're not even able to recognize what's happening right now and the amount of goods and services that are in the ecosystem, in the circular economy that we built at the end of the day. So all our job is now is to make sure we're hodling, to continue stacking the hardest computer network, hardest protocol, the only money humans have ever had, and keep it in self-storage, self-custody, in your own storage, have your keys, run a node, educate others when you can, bring it up to others, do our part, and stick together. It's the only thing we can do at the end of the day. So, I appreciate you guys. Mondays and Fridays we'll be doing the live stream. We've got some cool, the Parker podcast, Caitlin Long and Sam Samau, we just put those out in the last week. We got Parker on Sunday. Did one with Daniel Batten. That'll be coming up here in the next week or so. Just recorded that. And Monday and Friday live streams. And then we have some cool shows coming up. Also have some shows that, just some different format shows we are working on. I think you guys will enjoy. We'll probably restream those or multi-stream those to our channel as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. The signal's there. The light of liberty is strong. And we need to keep pushing it forward. That's for dang sure. So we'll continue doing this. I love doing the live stream. It's just too fun doing it with you guys. And one of the benefits of the last handful of months of things being really crazy. And I'm very excited to do more of this. We're going to be doing, like I said, stuff and streaming it through here with a bunch of the other Bitcoin creators. So that's going to be a lot of fun. 2 shows a week and then 2 live streams here a week, Monday and Friday. Like I said, on the banner you can see it. And then podcast episodes will be coming out Thursdays and Sundays, 11 o'clock hour. And then live streams here late afternoon, probably 4 to 6 p.m., 5 to 6 p.m., something like that. So we'll be doing the live streams here and getting on a schedule, getting on a cadence, so you guys can actually, let me share this with you. So you guys can actually count on that. Oh, yeah, this is the FBI creating their own cryptocurrencies. This is from a little while back. Didn't get to share that today, but Fountain. We're going to be actually hosting from Fountain from now on, also, probably starting next week. So that's going to be awesome. We'll be able to interact on there more. And go sign, if you have not, the petition for Kiana and Bill to get them out of prison. Holy cow. Wild times, guys. Appreciate you.